Hey everybody, it's Russell from What Drives Us, and welcome to my review of the Acura MDX all-wheel drive Sport Hybrid Advanced, starting now. I'm sitting in the back seat. Why? Because it's huge. This is an amazing, huge vehicle. And as much as I would fill this review with exciting exteriors of the vehicle and driving by and cutting corners and all that, and you'll get some of that, the story of this vehicle is the interior. Is this big interior space that is comfortably appointed, very well laid out, lots of good electronics to supplement, to enhance your experience behind the wheel, and even enhance your experience in the back seat. This is an amazing car. So something else, even in the rear seat, the same sort of storage, charging, USB charging, cup holders. There's a dual control HVAC system back here, seat heaters, storage, all kinds of storage, and this is just the roll-up armrest. This is in the back seat, not the front seat. This is usually the place where people cheap out. Instead, Acura did a fine job of making sure the passengers were every bit as comfortable as the people in the front. Sometimes it's the little things that are big differences that appeal to us. Maybe it's heated steering wheel or heated seats or flow-through air conditioning in the seats. The Acura MDX is in no way deficient in this department. There are a ton of little touches that make the ownership and user experience of driving this vehicle much nicer. Long road trips, maybe there's someone in the back seat, maybe there isn't. A roll-up extra solar shade besides the heavy tinting on the rear windows of the vehicle. Huge thing to help make the AC work more efficiently, to reduce the amount of heat coming in, and maybe even add a little level of privacy if there are people back here. In the front seat, and let's call it the cockpit just because it makes it sound cool, everything you could possibly manage is here. It's well laid out. Some of the electronic screens are a little weird, and I'll get into that later. But most of the controls are very simple, very easy to use. The controls of the steering wheel are laid out well. Everything's here, with a couple of notable exceptions. Acura, like lots of other companies, has this affinity for putting controls down here on the driver's left side by my knee, where my knee can hit them and where I can't possibly drive and see what these controls are. Now, I guess the argument could be, well, if you're driving, you don't need to see those controls. But, you know, when we think it's traction control, it's lane change avoidance, it's, there's a lot of little things down there that, frankly, they could have put up here. And I wish they had. I wish companies would get out of doing this. Toyota does this too constantly. Puts a whole bunch of nice controls down here that nobody wants to use. So it's 12:46 a.m. That's a 1:45 for those of you that aren't so good with the digital time. I'm just leaving work, and I have the pleasure of getting in a very nice, comfortable Acura MDX Advanced to drive home. Why does that mean anything? Why is that important? Because I'm tired. It's been a long day. It's late at night. I'm not as alert, not as, just with it as I would be at 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. The saving grace, the thing that this vehicle has, is a whole host of safety features. Lane departure, collision avoidance, other things that will keep prompting me if there's a lapse in my judgment. I like that. I think that's, it may seem like, oh, well, I never leave work late or anything like that, but, you just have to think about the 1 second you're distracted while you're driving. Now I can look at the camera because I'm at a stoplight. You have to think about that 1 second that you look away. And if the vehicle you're driving has a feature that can possibly save your life or protect your property or save the life of someone else, then that's a huge thing. And we look at the cost of vehicles and go, well, this is expensive. Do I need this technology package? Do I need the advanced version? We can argue that. Do you want that? Do you want that protection? Do you want, that extra measure of safety? I do. I want it for me and my family. So I look at something like what the MDX has, and I appreciate it. So that's all I wanted to say tonight. I was just thinking about it on the way home, and got in the car and wanted to make this point that these features I think are important. And I think if you had the experience of driving a vehicle with them, you would appreciate how important and how life-saving they can be. And the other point I wanted to make about the MDX, interior-wise, at night, and it's obviously late at night, it's dark, and I'm driving, is the idea that I think they did a nice job of working on the lighting of the instruments, the ambient lighting in the vehicle, so that you can see the control surfaces and access them without distracting you from what's going on outside of the vehicle. That's not something that every car company gets right. Or that's not even something that a lot of car companies do very well. And this Acura, I think it's done beautifully. The gauges are lit at a very nice level, and of course it's adjustable, but just the default settings show that they care, show that they put effort into it, and that it mattered to them. Because it matters to me if I'm driving this vehicle a lot. Last thing I want to be is blinded by the speedo, no matter how cool the tachometer is. If it keeps me from seeing something outside of the vehicle while I'm driving, that's not so good. And if you see me not looking at the camera, it's because I'm driving. So this is a big, comfortable vehicle, and there's no other way to put it. It's designed to be that, and it succeeds at every level. And I'm not saying that the Acura MDX Sport Hybrid is a sports car. If you buy this vehicle thinking you're getting a sports car, you're the problem, not the car. For a vehicle of this size and this weight that does what it does, this vehicle handles beautifully. No, nothing less than beautifully. It handles marvelously. So, the idea that there are reviewers that are upset that it doesn't corner well, or this car corners like a champ. The turning circle of this vehicle is exceptional. Again, for a vehicle this size, there's absolutely, I have absolutely no complaints with the handling or the acceleration of this thing. It gets up and goes when it needs to. It's not super quick off the line. It's not supposed to be. If you want a sports car, buy a sports car. If you're looking at an SUV, this is probably one of the best vehicles you could possibly buy. Let me say that again. If you're looking for a premium SUV, the Acura MDX Sport Hybrid All-Wheel Drive Advanced is probably the best vehicle you could get.